Hey everyone, it's Amanda with My Life, My Way. Happy Valentine's Day. I just wanted to pop on today and talk to you guys a little bit about how my husband and I met and kind of our love story. And before I get into that though, I just want to thank everybody that follows me on here. I officially have 365 subscribers as I'm videoing this right now, which is nothing short of amazing. To everybody that follows me, thank you very much. Thank you for the warmth and the support that I've received through this channel and the messages that I receive from you guys through our pregnancy and through our loss and going forward as we try again. So I just wanted to let you guys know that I really appreciate it. I never, to be honest with you, in my wildest dreams when I first started this channel, figured I'd make it to 50. And I made it to 50 and I made it to 100. And now I'm at 365 and it blows me away. So thank you very much for following, for subscribing, for liking these videos, for commenting. I just want to take a quick minute to send back just a little bit of love to you guys and let you guys know on Valentine's Day that I really do appreciate your presence here too. So like I said, today I'm going to talk a little bit about my husband and how we met. I'm kind of missing him today. He went back up to work 2 days ago, so we're missing Valentine's Day again, which is pretty much a yearly occurrence for us. We usually celebrate like a couple weeks late. It's not really a big deal. It's more the feeling of it, right? It's all about the love. So I'm missing him today. I'm a little bit soft, so I figured we'd talk about him. For any of you guys that watch this channel, you'll know that my husband's sort of my rock. He's been with me and been at my side and been wonderfully supportive through the 2 years of our infertility journey together. And again, through our loss. I don't honestly know what I would have done without him. He's been fantastic through the whole thing. He's dealt with the tears and the heartbreak and the anger and the guilt and the prometrium or whatever that was called, progesterone that they put me on for 2 weeks. For anybody else that's taken progesterone, you know exactly what I'm talking about. For those of you ladies that don't know, or for those of you guys that don't know, be glad you don't. It's basically the PMS hormone. They put you on it for a couple weeks. Either to start a period or to support an early pregnancy if you've got progesterone issues. And it's like PMS, but times 10, and I was bat crap crazy on it. And my poor husband took pretty much the brunt of all that. We're just really glad we were 4.5 hours apart, working in 2 different cities at the time. It's probably the only thing that rescued us. Anyways, so how do we meet? We actually met originally in high school. And before everybody gets all like, oh, that's really wonderful, you guys met at like 14. We were not high school sweethearts by any stretch of the imagination. I knew him, his friends sometimes sat around with my friends, but our two social circles were not the same. So we never really hung out a lot together. He was in a couple classes with me. Him and I were both in band. He was a phenomenal French horn player, and I was a mediocre at best trombone player. So I used to sit behind him, and I used to razz him every once in a while because I literally sat right behind him for 3 years in that class. But that was about as extensive as it got. And then somewhere along the way, we added each other to the wonders that is Facebook. It was so insignificant at the time. I don't even remember who added who or when. And he doesn't know either. It was just completely insignificant. It just happened. And then a couple years back, just before we turned 29, he put up his journeyman ticket for boom truck operator. And I congratulated him over Facebook and said, you know, that's fantastic. And he wrote me back in a private message and said, hey, let's go for coffee. And I said, sure. So a little bit of backstory. A couple years before that, I'd been talking to a friend of mine from the town that we live in now, which is where I grew up. But I moved away for a few years and I'd been out of town. And I was coming back through town to get on a plane to go to Denver, Colorado to go visit some friends. And I'd been talking to this old friend of mine. And I said, you know, I'm coming through town on my way to the airport. Do you want to go for coffee before I get on the plane? She said, sure. And then the day I was supposed to leave, I got held up at home. I was hours late getting out of town, hours getting late into this town that I'm in right now to get on the plane. So I messaged her and I was like, hey, I'm really sorry about this, but I'm going to have to postpone things. Can we get back for coffee when I get back from Denver? I'm only gone for 4 days. She goes, yeah, sure. That's not really a big deal. It doesn't postpone it by an entire week. And I got to Denver and I popped onto Facebook just to write, you know, hey, I made it safe and sound and I'm here just so you don't worry about me. And I saw her husband's notification that they'd found her dead that morning. And I have never gotten over the guilt a little bit from that, from not seeing her one more time. And I've never really gotten over the heartbreak of never seeing her again. So when he threw me a message and said, "Hey, let's go for coffee," and I said, "Sure," I'm like, I was working out of town. I was 2 hours out of town, but I was living here at the time, and he was living here as well. And I was working out of town by 2 hours, and I was on call 24 hours a day for 4 days. I'm like, I get off work at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm coming back to Edmonton. We're going to do coffee on Friday night. I am not postponing this. I'm not pushing the fates any. It was definitely not my fault, obviously, for what happened. I just felt guilty that I let the opportunity to see her again slide. So, and I'll never get that back. So I would not let the opportunity pass. I was like, I'm coming home on Friday. Let's do this. So Friday at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm still on call, and we ended up on a bad call. We ended up stuck in the hospital for hours. We didn't get out of there till 7 o'clock when we were released. Like, day shift met us at the hospital. It was a long day. I went back to the place where I was, the ambulance place where I was staying, and I crashed and hard till like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The only reason I got up is because my sister phoned me, and she's like, "Hey, let's do dinner." And she lives here in the city I live in now. So I'm like, it's 4 o'clock. I got a 2 hour drive. I can make dinner. So I got everything up. I packed it in the car right quick, and I left and met her up for supper. And I messaged my husband while I was at dinner with my sister, and I said, "Hey, I'm back in town. Do you still want to do coffee tonight?" He sends me back a message going, "Yeah, absolutely." I'm like, "Okay, well, where do you live? Because I'm already in the car. It's already warm. I'll come meet you." So we met up for coffee at his place. What I didn't know was that he was operating the picker at the time, and he'd driven for like 14 hours that day. It started at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and he was probably about as bagged as I was, if not a little bit more. So we met up for coffee, both of us figuring it'll be 30 minutes, and I'm going to leave, and then we'll say, I'll see you back again in 6 months, or we'll try this again in a year. Hopefully we don't let it go for another 10, and then move on. That was really all for either one of us. That's all that coffee was supposed to be. So when we met up for coffee, I laid everything out on the table. We talked about the fact that I have ankylosing spondylitis. We talked about the fact that I'm working out of town, and I'm working on the ambulance, and I love my job, and it's bloody and gory and dirty a little bit some days, and some days it's heartwarming and lovely. And we talked about his job and how he wants to become a crane operator, and he was talking about going to the oil patch to go work versus the running around that he was doing for an electrical company here. And we laid it all out on the table because it wasn't a date. I wasn't trying to impress somebody that I was going to be seeing for a while. So it was just an old friend I was getting back together, like just hanging out with again, and everything got laid on the table. And somewhere like midway through the conversation, he's talking about how he wants to get into cranes and bigger and better things. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy has goals. And I don't know if you guys are where I'm at in life, but I was 20, just about 29 at the time. And for the life of me, like, I'd been doing online dating and that kind of stuff, and I could not find a goal, or could not find a guy that had goals, that had like anything in life other than, I'm just good where I'm at, or I'm go with the flow kind of guy. I'm like, that is not an answer. When I'm asking about your 5-year plan, I want something that's a little more specific than that. Obviously, it's going to change. It's just a plan. It's not like a set out line of things. But you should have a plan. Like, you're starting to hit up 30. You should have an idea. So anyways, so I'm sitting there talking to this guy, and I'm like, wow. He quit smoking. He quit all the other things he was kind of into. Like, he's not doing kitchens anymore. He's not working 17-hour days anymore. He's not running on coffee and cigarettes anymore. We still drink a lot of coffee. Not what I'm trying to say, though. And he had somewhere in life he wanted to go, other than just where he was right now. And I remember sitting there looking at him, and I'm like, wow, you have really pretty eyes. And we got up and went to go leave, and I'm like, wow, he has great ass. And they, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on YouTube. Anyways, 3 hours later, they kicked us out of Starbucks because they closed on us. They closed at 10 around here. And we got up to go leave, and I remember, wow, he's got a great butt. I remember thinking, I don't want this night done yet. I don't know what's going on, but I don't want this to be over. So I looked at him, and it was total crap. And out of nowhere, I was like, so my brother and I are going out for karaoke, which we do on a regular basis. Don't get me wrong. We didn't have any plans that night because my plan was to go for coffee with this guy for 30 minutes and go home to bed for like 12 more hours. So anyways, so I was like, my brother and I are going for karaoke. Do you want to come join us for the evening? I'm like, I'll drive. We're like 6 blocks from our house anyways. I'll drive to your place. I'll pick you up. I'll take you out. You can have a couple beer. I'll drop you off at home. You're not working tomorrow anyways. And he's like, yeah, sure, I could do that. In his head, he's probably like, I am so exhausted. But apparently he also did not want the night to end. So he said, sure. So he got in his car, I got in mine, and I followed him to his house. And then like the 6-block drive, I got on the phone with my brother. I'm like, you need to do me a solid. He's like, okay. Like, I'm going to pick you up in like 25 minutes, put some pants on. I'm going to drive you down to karaoke. You can have a couple beer. I'll drive you home. And he's like, oh, okay, that's not a big deal. He thought it was kind of weird. I don't usually tell him he's going to karaoke, more as like phone him up and like, hey, I haven't done karaoke in a while. Do you want to go? It was just something we used to do all the time when we were both single. And so anyways, so my soon-to-be husband, neither one of us know this at the time, but I get this guy back in my car and we hang out, bullshit, all the way to my brother's place. And then with my brother all the way back to the karaoke bar, and we hung out for like 2 more hours in the karaoke bar, chit-chatting and whatnot. And then everything packed up at the karaoke bar, so I dropped the guy that's now my husband off at his house, and then I drove my brother home because he lives like 15 blocks from where I actually live, or lived at the time. And I went home for the night, and I get this message first thing in the morning from this guy, and he's like, so I had a great time last night. Do you want to do breakfast this morning? And I have no idea what happened. It was supposed to be a 30-minute coffee. Within 2 weeks, we were completely inseparable. Every time I came home from days off, we spent every moment he was not at work together. Our second date, I think, was us looking for a garbage can for his newly renovated bathroom. Like, kid you not, it was the weirdest stuff. It was not traditional in any way, shape, or form. It wasn't supposed to be dating. I don't really know what happened. And like 4 weeks in, we're at the beginning of April, and I was like, do you want to make this official? Like, do you actually want to date? And he's like, yeah, okay, we could do that. And I don't know what happened. Like, that wasn't supposed to be how this went down. But to say that I'm thankful would be a complete understatement at this point in my lifetime. I think we were only like 2.5 months in when I broke down and told him I loved him. And he said he'd been feeling the same for almost a month now, but didn't know how to say it first. So we made it past that hurdle. And then, actually, it's probably only like a month in, to be honest with you, maybe 2, into us actually dating. And about 3 months into us dating, he made a comment about wanting to have 3 kids. And I was like, well, heads up, because I'm hitting up like 29 in a month. Clock's ticking. And I don't want to have kids unless I'm married. Not saying that there's anything wrong with having kids premarital. Like, that's not what I'm trying to say. It just wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't what I was going to go out and intentionally do. And I think he took that to heart a little bit too far. Because the next weekend we were out hanging out, and I was out driving, and he was giving me directions to wherever he wanted to go. And I'm like, okay, not a big deal. But we park in front of a Starbucks. So he's like, do you want to go in? Yeah. It's coffee. So yes, the answer is yes. And he goes, no, not Starbucks. He goes, over that way. And he points in the other direction, and there's a Spence Diamonds. And I looked at him, I'm like, are you proposing to me? He's like, well, not yet. I don't have a ring. Okay. Apparently, the poor guy tried to look through my jewelry, which is sort of like a classic guy thing to do. But I'm not a very girly girl. And when I went to EMT school, I kind of like gave up everything because I ended up moving cities to go to EMT school. And I think by the time we started hanging out together, I had a Ziploc bag with all of my jewelry in it, and it literally consisted of like a necklace or 2, I think a pair of 2 earrings, and my grad ring from high school. I might have changed a little bit of my taste since then. And a piece of costume jewelry I got from my grandmother when she passed away that I've kept ever since. I don't wear it because it's not really my style, but I love it. It's a piece of my grandmother, and it sits in my... Now I have an actual jewelry box, but it sat in my little jewelry bag with me for like the entire year I was in school for. And so you live a little cheap when you're in school. Just saying. Anyway, so apparently that didn't leave him with a whole lot of options for what my style was. And he figured if he was going to propose and I was going to wear the ring for the rest of my life, I should like it. Which is fair. He probably would have tried to convince me to go out with friends of mine to go shopping if I was a shopping kind of girl. But I am also not that. So he's kind of stuck. The poor guy. So he takes me to a Spence Diamonds. We spent all afternoon there. We actually went back a second day and looked through the rest of them just to find the ring that we liked. If you guys want to see it, there's actually 3 rings. So the one in the middle is obviously my engagement ring. And then the one a little closer to my hand is my wedding ring. And then I have a 1-year anniversary band at the top there. So the rings that we picked out only actually had an engagement ring. We had to get the wedding band and anniversary band custom done. We actually went over to Charm to go get them finished. And they were actually relatively inexpensive for the fact that we had custom made jewelry. I was completely amazed. And it was fantastic. The service there is amazing if you ever go into a Charm or a Charm store. Regardless, we picked up the ring. We did our deals with the stuff. The sales guy there was fantastic at the Spence Diamonds, by the way. And so we picked everything out, and then we went to Victoria. We'd actually had it planned out. My cousin was getting married, and I asked him as a joke one day when we were only dating for like 2 months. I'm like, hey, so my cousin's getting married. Do you want to come to Victoria with me? He's like, well, sure, I got family there. He's, if you don't mind me seeing my grandfather while we're down there, my grandparents while we're down there, I'd love to go. I'm okay with meeting your grandparents. That's fine. So at 4 months in, we flew to Victoria, British Columbia, which is on the west coast of Canada, and it's beautiful out there. And we went out to one of his favorite points. It's called Ogden Point for anybody that's ever been to Victoria. It's this beautiful lookout point, and you kind of walk out across the breakwater to get there. And we get out to the end of the breakwater, and we sat down on a bench, and he kept asking me if I liked the place. Like, well, yeah, it's beautiful. We're out on a breakwater. We're in Victoria. It's beautiful out here. He's like, yeah, but no, but do you really like it? That's a weird question, but yes. Yes, I really do like this. Apparently he had a backup plan for a different place just in case I didn't really like Ogden Point, but I love the place. And he got down on one knee right on the breakwater and asked me to marry him. And 13 months later, I did. So it was a little bit of a whirlwind, to say the least. We've been married now for 2.5 years. And in April, which is only about 2 months from when I'm going to film this, is our 4-year dating anniversary. So we kind of, got a little into things, got a little quicker into it than the average couple, I think. But it worked really well for us, and I love him to pieces. This infertility journey means he's probably not going to get the 3 kids he wanted, but we were kind of talking the other day, and he's like, we were hanging out with some friends of ours that have 3 kids. He's like, maybe you're right. Maybe 2's not so bad. And my line's always been, I only want 2 kids because I only have 2 arms, and he works out of town, so I need 2 arms with which to grab at them. Make sure they don't run off and do something they shouldn't be doing. So that's pretty much our love story. That's pretty much her. We kind of figure love's all about compromise. We trade a little here and there. I take him to see heavy metal shows. He takes me to see country shows. It's a little bit of a mix, but it works really well for us. We travel as much as we can get away for, both here and away. We don't get away nearly as often as we'd like to, just like everybody else in the world. But that's kind of one of the things we like to do. And we cook together a lot. That's our other kind of like random thing that we do on occasion with each other. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for following along with this channel. Thanks for subscribing and liking, and comment away if you have more questions. Feel free. If you have things you'd like to ask, I can absolutely put them into future videos if you put a question down in the comments. So thank you very much. I hope you guys find a little bit of love for your Valentine's Day. And yeah, have a great one. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.